Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful.
Lauren Sizzle.
Here she go. That's right, and the beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And this is your boy Charles Gregory. And you're listening to WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. This is We Talk Weeklies after the talk. And you all already know, man, how we get down in the paint, especially as it relates to these interviews. And you know that the interviews are my favorite segment of the show. And why are they the favorite segment of the show? Is because I get a chance to talk to the good old folks and this young gentleman that's coming in. When I tell you that, musically dope. I mean, that's all I can say. You're gonna hear a little. We're gonna make him say a couple things. We gonna make sure that we hear something that he got. We want to hear something, see what he can do live for the good old folks. All the people who will be chiming in. But before I go into all that good old stuff, come on, classy lady, tell me, who do we have today? Who do we have today?
We have R&B recording artist Jay Brown. He just secured the number 10 spot on the Billboard R&B charts this week with his single Moon. Jay Brown is a Detroit native, and he says of the song, the inspiration behind the song was all about bringing love to life to the message by creating a song that showcases the love that can be shared between a man and a woman. That's my kind of song. There's nothing more powerful than a man's love for her woman, he says. With music firmly in his blood and armed with tunnel vision focus on following his passion of making music from the heart, Jay Brown delivers a dose of straight up R&B. Let's give a warm welcome for Jay Brown.
Jay Brown is
Woo!
definitely in the building. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hey.
How you doing?
No doubt, no
Cool,
doubt,
man. Just chilling, man. Nothing much. Yeah.
no
By the
doubt.
way, this isn't beer. This is rude beers.
Just as a little disclaimer there, no doubt, no doubt, it's all good. But before we get into all the good old stuff, man, we had the opportunity
Yeah,
to
just letting
listen.
y'all know.
No
Yeah.
doubt. We appreciate that too. We appreciate that. But before we get into that good old stuff, man, in terms of who you are as an artist, I love to know, just pretty much, we like to start from the beginning, right? And so your music influences, when did you realize that you had that voice to say, you know what, I want to pursue this level of kind of like entrepreneurship in a sense, right? Because you become your own brand, you become, your own business, so to speak. So when did you realize that, what, this is music and this is what I want to do?
I would honestly say I started singing in church. My father's a pastor, or was past tense. So I started singing in church, and from there I would come home and sing and do things like that. But I never really thought I could make a career out of it. It was just more so something that was just kind of instilled in me as a younger age. Because my at a younger age, whether because my mom she was sing, my dad was sing, but it started in church. But when I finally realized that I could potentially pursue this, was actually an undergrad. I did a talent show, and it was over like 6,000 students there. And normally my school they're known for booing people, so I wasn't even gonna do it. I was a bit apprehensive considering I knew they had a reputation for booing people. But my friend, rest in peace, Naisha, she passed away. She signed me up for the talent show. So I said, it's only right to do it. And she passed away a day prior to the actual talent show, which was really strange. So
Mm.
I did a tribute to her. Yeah, and I successfully did a great job. I won the talent show, and like girls were screaming and all that stuff. It was crazy. So I think that was like that defining moment. I said I could potentially do this solo. So yeah, it was an undergrad.
No doubt. No doubt, no doubt. And so you realize that this was something that you can kind of pursue solo, right? And before we go there, is there anybody in your family that that kind of that you got your musical talents from, or is this something that is just a gift to you exclusively?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a gift from a creator. But my mom, she had a situation with Motown Records back in the day. Smokey Robinson, he actually used to manage my mother and my aunts, and so that's kind of like that was that starting point. Just listening to my mom singing around the house, listening to my father singing in church, and me singing in church. So I would say my mom was mostly my biggest influence.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And so,
So,
go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, let me just ask you this because I'm sure all the ladies want to know: Are you single? Write no songs.
No,
I
no,
know
lady,
you can't be
don't nobody
single.
want to
Those
know
some
that.
love songs.
No, yeah. Long story short, I was actually engaged 2 years ago, and come to find out, she was cheating on me the entire time with my brother. So
Oh,
What?
we can. Oh yeah, I'm all about transparency to a certain degree. You feel me? So yeah, but it happens. It is what it is. So I'm single to answer your question.
And
Wow, wow.
just to interject, he had to be in love in order to have that kind of song coming out, because that is just dripping all with with passion and love.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You,
Yeah,
you, you know, I gotta now.
yeah.
Now you
Well,
open
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was you. You're correct on that one. I was definitely in love.
Hmm.
No doubt, no doubt. So you open the door. So I gotta go through that rabbit hole about your brother and your ex love, so to speak, and how did that feel, and how do you believe that inspired even your music?
Uh, in all honesty, I don't think it affected me in the sense of me giving up on love, so to speak. I think it just opened my eyes. You gotta get to know a person before you actually invest a lot of time in them. Certain things create these illusions, which but it is what it is. She put it over my head, but pursuing love, and I'm still actively pursuing it. So yeah,
Yeah, no
hope that
doubt, no
answers your
doubt.
question.
Yeah, it answers. It's cool. It's cool. So
You
let's.
hear me? Did
Yeah, I
that?
can.
Did it?
I can hear you. You a little choppy though. It looks like it might be a connection situation. But we're gonna make it through. We're gonna
Okay.
make it through. So let's walk. Let's keep walking through.
Well,
No doubt. Yeah, yeah, it's all good. You want a little. It looks like you want a little delay also. So looks like we've been experiencing some issues around this lately as we do our interviews. But I mean, it is what it is. It's a connection. It's an internet, and it is what it is, right? And so what I do want to follow, in a line of questioning in terms of you walking this path through your creative and your vocal talents and understanding that and exploring that. You realize that your mother can sing. You gifted. You get those gifts from your parents. You move on. You jump into school. You start winning talent shows because of your musical talents. Now let's talk about understanding your musical talents in school. You winning those talent shows. Now let's talk about the professional piece of it. You realize that what, now I want to jump into music professionally. What was that starting point, and how did you begin that path in terms of knowing that this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna start creating this music?
yeah. To press rewind a little bit, I would say it was that performance in college and undergrad. That's what made me realize I can pursue this solo. Prior to that, I had a situation with Wyclef John. Wyclef John, he signed me in high school, so I moved all the way from Detroit to Jersey, based on Wyclef signing me. Wyclef's always been an inspiration to me, so I couldn't resist that opportunity. So I transferred schools to New Jersey, and graduated from there. But after that, even with that situation, I was in a group, so I still kind of felt like, you know, not am I good enough to go solo, but solo just wasn't my thing. But in that experience in undergrad, that was the defining moment where I said, okay, I can actually be on stage by myself performing without like other people on stage with me in terms of like a group members. So from there, I would just Matter of fact, that performance, there was a guy at that particular performance who worked with Jaheim, and he sent the tape that I from the talent show to Jaheim, and then Jaheim was like, "Oh, I want to start working with him." So I started working with Jaheim a little bit, and I was writing for him. And then from there, I kind of separated from him, creative differences. And then I ventured out and got another record deal solo with Universal Republic Records. So it was just that starting point at Grambling State. That's what did it for me, bro. Like, real talk.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Go ahead, Spark.
I was going to ask you, I see that your thrive, your momentum, and you're rising as, to stardom. And so many young entertainers are rising to stardom. However, there's times where mental health comes into play. How are you staying grounded in the support system that you're going to have?
Excellent question, Queen. I like that. No, because you're absolutely right. Mental health, I mean, especially considering all that's going on in the world right now with the pandemic. But I feel like my mental health is definitely intact. I'm a firm believer in Christ. So I'm praying, and, I have 2 kids. So even with that, like it keeps me encouraged, keeps me uplifted. So mentally, I think I'm well intact. But I can understand how some people can get caught up in all this different stuff, because right now, in terms of the industry, things have slowed down. I went from touring. In fact, I was even out in Philly touring with Elvana. We were on a tour earlier this year. And so when you have this period where you slow down, it causes a lot of people to go into this whirlwind of just confusion, which ultimately, spirals into like a depression or something. But for myself, I think I've been doing pretty well. I give all credit to God for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely awesome. Go ahead, Sizzle.
I was just going to ask, like, what, you mentioned the depression. So what advice would you offer to an artist who's, they're struggling now? It's such a hard time, the COVID-19, and people aren't able to get out and tour and perform like they would. And some of them are going through depression and all those other things. So what's some advice that you would offer to an artist who's struggling?
Okay. First and foremost, I want to say I really like that shirt. That's a really dope shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I'm like, let me tell before I forget. But yeah, I would honestly just tell people to be encouraged. If you believe in a higher power, lean on that higher power. For me personally, I meditate, whatever gets you through. But I would just say, just focus on all the positive things, versus the negative, because it can be challenging. But I just hope that anyone dealing with depression of any sort would just be encouraged. Believe that there'll be a greater outcome eventually.
Awesome. You have a unique sound with you, and as we keep walking through your journey in terms of you being a musical artist, and even some of the people you have been working with, like Wyclef Jean, like a Jaheim, and I hear a lot of influence, musical influence in you. When I listen to your music, I hear people like a John B. I hear like a Brian McKnight. I hear a little Raheem DeVaughn. I hear
that's my brother right there. Shouts out to him.
Yes.
I hear even like a Donnell Jones. I hear some Usher. I hear like even arguably Babyface, right?
That's my idol.
There you go. In terms of some of your writing and the way that you even sound, your sound, the falsetto aspect of even your voice, in pushing forward, and even your writing, and which is interesting because you said like Babyface is your idol, and even Raheem DeVaughn is like your brother. One of the questions I was going to ask, well, who are your influences? And so who are those artists who begins to resonate in your head when you start to put down that pen? Who makes you want to write and keep creating?
People like Bilal, Raheem, my kids. I know y'all familiar with Bilal because y'all
Oh yeah,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, like Bilal. But my main influence, like Babyface, like people who are really true to their artistry. I mean, again, y'all being from Philly, y'all know about that. I used to live in Philly, so I already know what it's about. So
Wow.
you know, it's just. I'll tell you this, like the state of R&B right now is like I think it's on a comeback, but for myself, like I grew up on like that old school type of R&B. So like all the people that I always, looked up to, I'm trying to incorporate different sounds from their music, things that I've heard into my music, just because it's familiar. It's something that I've always enjoyed. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you say about the new kind of musically influenced generation that's coming? You got people saying that they're the king of R&B now. So so what's your take on kind of like that new music, that new sound? The auto tune, the difference in even some of the content that they're writing. What's your take on that?
Um, well, it depends on the artist. Like for like someone like Jacquees, for example. Personally, I feel like, hey, it's his constitutional right. If he wants to say he's something, he's entitled to that. I personally like him, but like in terms of like auto tune and stuff, a lot of people seem to be into that. I think it's just different strokes for different folks. But like people who grew up on the kind of music I grew up on, not to say I'm like, oh, I'm just saying, like people who grew up on like a certain sound, they don't really care to hear that kind of stuff. So for me personally, right now, I think the industry is coming back, excuse me, with a lot of great artists like her, um, what's my man name? Man, I'm about to do a record with him. Lucky Day. It's coming back, but I mean, right now I think it's kind of overly saturated with the auto tune and all that stuff, which makes it difficult for people who like want to stay true to like real R&B, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think your music is definitely like it was just giving me. I love R&B, and it was just giving me like some throwback vibes. They're like 80s, like late 80s,
Yeah,
90s R&B. That was the best. Some of
I
the
agree.
greatest
Thank you.
artists. Yeah.
Speaking of that, with the music and R&B, like I was listening to the lyrics. Are you writing all of your own songs? Do you collaborate in writing?
Yeah,
How,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish.
no, go ahead. That's what I was saying. How are you doing that?
Well, no. So I write a lot. I produce a lot. But for my single "Moon," which is now like the #6 R&B record in the country, which is a huge blessing. That song, it was a collaborative effort. Both my manager and my homeboy Steve James, we all just came up with the idea. We kind of fused together like our own personal experiences, and just came up with the song "Moon." You know.
You know what? That's an excellent transition because I wanted to go into some of the things that we're hearing right now, some of the music, the records that we are hearing. So I'm going to say something and I want you to finish it. All right. Let me take you to the moon where it's quiet. Make love on the stars.
Watch the sunrise over planets. Then we hang out in Mars.
Dope, dope, dope. That's and the lyric, no doubt.
But
Lyric, I think that listening to the content of your music, it gives that old R&B, the love, the ballad, I love you, I want to court you, I want to rock with you. This is what I want to do with you, and you do have a lot of that influence in your music. That particular record, Moon. What was the inspiration behind that?
the inspiration was I'm like a hopeless romantic, so like that's just like my ideal uh, quiet place for my significant other and I. Like like once I do find that special lady, as cliche as that may sound, I think that personally, I want us to always make sure we're focusing on us. A lot of people, they have a lot of distractions. They're bringing a lot of people into their relationships, asking for advice from multiple amounts of people who serve absolutely no purpose. But if you focus just on you two, then how else can you possibly go wrong? Of course, you'll have bumps and hurdles and things of that nature. But the main message in the song is just let's focus on us, go to our quiet place, and do what we love to do best, which is focus on our love.
That's baby making music. That's what you call that.
Oh, thank you, man.
He said, baby. That's exactly what it is. You know, when those kids get older, they be like, "That's the song you was made on."
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
No
Yeah,
doubt, no doubt. That's an interesting take on that, because I think that's some of the things that we're missing in today's music. I think it's a lot of, hard, let's just get to the point music, as
yeah,
opposed to kind of like that courting piece. Let me walk you through this. Let me date you a little bit. Let me show you that this is the type of man that I can be to you. Do you find
yeah.
that as being consistent in where the music is going today?
Absolutely not. I think with certain artists who actually get it, but you know, we're living in strange times, bro. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep it 100 with you in Queens. We're living in strange times, so the thought of love, it just doesn't exist when it comes to certain people. It's more so about, what can I get for the temporary? Does he or she look good? What kind of car does he drive? Which that kind of talk's been happening for years. But I think now it's even more evident in everything we see. Just look at social media. No one's talking about love. It's all about shaking this on the floor. Uh, you know, I don't know, just a bunch of craziness, man. And then what will that ultimately do for love? The thought of being in love, it just diminishes everything because there's not a lot of people out here putting out a positive message in terms of what could potentially be in terms of a successful relationship. It's more so, yeah, it's kind of shitty.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I agree with that. I want to walk you through because it's ironic that you mentioned and I see Spark, you got a question. But I just want to walk. I just want to you acknowledge people in Philadelphia like the Blouse, right? And ironically, I had the opportunity to style Blau. And I come from that, you mentioned people within that whole Black Lily era, right? And so it's interesting that you speak on that and musically coming out of that. My current clients right now is Kindred the Family Soul, right? And so when you
Wow.
talk about Philadelphia based, musically inclined artists that has substantive music. Not
Hmm.
saying that it's anything wrong with any, and that's not taking shots at anybody, but when you talk about what neo soul kind of came out of, right? It was about what this is, what are the challenges, what are the passion, what is the love. And it's interesting that you said you came out of Philly with that. And so do you see a change in music potentially that could happen?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, brother. It kind of broke up a little bit. Say the last few things you said
Sure.
about.
So what I was asking, do you think there could be a change in music that's coming? You mentioned her also. I love her. That's one of my favorites, right?
Yeah.
Music seems to be taking this turn. What do you think about, the future of music?
I think the future is looking promising, to be honest with you, because there's a
Yeah.
lot more artists out here who are a little more thought provoking in terms of their delivery and overall message. I think like it's like a handful of people, um, but I think it's coming back. I mean, because at first, 4 or 5 years ago, you rarely saw any young artists out here talking about I want to fall in love and this and that. It was more so about again, shake it this on the flow. How can I get up in her pants and things of that nature. But now it's like more people are focusing on what really matters. So I think we're headed in the right direction, man. I think so personally.
Go ahead, Spark. I know you had a question.
Yeah. All right. Similar to what Charles just asked you, because coming out of Philly and we got a lot of heavy hitters here. You native of Detroit, so that's Motown. That's where it all started.
Yeah.
So I see that you mentioned that your father's a pastor or was a pastor. Is he still with us?
No, no, he's in heaven now.
Oh,
So
oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I
thank you.
definitely feel them sentiments. My father passed away not long ago.
Sorry
Um,
to hear that.
Thank you. But I was going to ask you, based on you coming from a spiritual background and you not singing, church music and more secular, how did your family receive that? And how do you feel? Do you feel like there is a division?
I really don't. I feel like if you put out a positive message, like the church folks from the old school, they would always say you can't serve two masters. My dad was like as old school as it gets. but he always instilled in me, as long as you're doing something that makes you happy, I'll support it 100%. As long as you're staying true to what you believe in and the values that we instilled in you, both my mom and my father, he said I would support it 100%. So for me personally, I don't look at it as serving two masters. Like, God gave me the gift. Music is about love. I focus on love. It's not really any negative message that I'm putting out there. So I'm actually proud of myself, you know.
I hear you. And what about coming out of Detroit? Are you going to be one of the, one of the people on the forefront to bring that city back to what it used to be
I'm
in regards
praying
to
on it.
music?
It's looking really good for me right now. A lot of people, some people never heard my name, but a lot of people have. So it just depends on who you asking. But for me personally, right now, I have a lot of labels trying to sign me. This is like my third charted record within a year's time as an independent artist. So that's like unheard of. And, for me, I think that I'll definitely be added to that list of people who did something in terms of Detroit, like in the very, very near future. So.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you're talking about you had some huge shoes to fill. That Motown circuit right there. And
Yeah.
and the interesting thing is you're carving your own lane, and I think that you're going to have a new group of people, a new I like to use the word fresh face of music coming out of Detroit and Motown, so to speak. And so I think that you have a promising future. So that's a
Thanks,
great
bro.
transition. Not a problem at all. That's a great transition in, hopelessly in love, right? And
Oh, my man.
I listen to that. And I think that's one of my favorites. And when I talk about the Brian McKnights and the Baby Faces, acoustically, that's what I hear. What was the inspiration behind Hopelessly in Love? Wow, time flies. We only got about 4 minutes left, but tell me the inspiration behind Hopelessly in Love.
Okay, so I was in the studio. I live out in Cali. So myself, Stevie Wonder's daughter Aisha, both her and I were in the studio along with my manager, and she was like singing because she's a singer too. So she was singing, and she was like, "Man, you just seem like you hopelessly in love." So she came up with it. She came up with that name, and I was like, "Oh snap, that's gonna be the name of the song." And so we just started writing. I was playing on the guitar, and then we vibed out and started creating it.
Wow. Hold on, wait. So you were playing the guitar? You was playing the actual guitar?
Well, I wasn't playing. I mean, I'm not like the best, but it was. Yeah, I was coming up with ideas. Yeah, but
no doubt.
Yeah. What's your zodiac sign?
Are you a firm believer in that kind of stuff?
I entertain it because I'm hearing all this hopelessly in love and all of this stuff. So I'm just curious.
So my zodiac. Well, I'm on the cups. I'm both a Gemini and a Taurus. So
okay,
that makes sense to you.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Without the crazy stuff though. I ain't got that split person. That two-faced thing.
That's what you say.
I promise you I don't. That's why I don't believe in it.
No doubt. That's what's up. So, before we let you go, you got to tell everybody, where we can get in contact with you, where they can hear their music, and also what's, your latest projects and what to look forward to when it comes to Mr. J Brown.
Oh, thank you, brother. So for all of you who are tuning in, if you want to support me, which I hope you will, because I'll support you back. My Instagram and my Twitter is both J Brown Music Only. My YouTube is Music by J Brown. And Spotify, just type in J Brown and check out my latest singles, both Hopelessly in Love and Moon, which is the top number 6 song in the country right now, and my EP, which is entitled Forever Yours, on all platforms. So please support me, and I would greatly appreciate it.
Fantastic.
And if you need some BGVs, hit us up.
Are you serious? Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Me and Estat.
You mentioned that because I need some. Like seriously, I'm putting together. Well, if you on Instagram, hit me up so we can talk about that because it's funny you mentioned that. So
yeah, we'll talk offline.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I want to say thank all y'all, man. I hope y'all are staying safe, man. I hope your families are safe. I really appreciate y'all for having me. I appreciate your time, and thanks a lot.
No doubt, my brother, and we wish you the best, and we'll make sure, like I always say to everybody that come to the show, once you're part of the show, you're a friend to the show, so you're welcome to come in anytime. And when you are, opening for, when you on BT or the Grammys, and don't forget us little folks down here.
Hey, listen, y'all coming for show. Listen, I ain't one of them artists who just talk. You know what? I'm straight up, man. I ain't about all that BS. So we fam now.
No doubt.
Straight up.
Appreciate
That's my guy. So there you go, ladies. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Charles Gregg with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
With our guest today,
Jay Brown.
We in the house. Don't go nowhere. This your boy Charles Gregory, and we see you on the other side. Holla.
Peace.